What's going on there, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the day is finally here. The final playtest has happened for Splitgate 2. I don't know if it's still live right now. I think they said they're going for some extended time since this is going to be the final playtest, so it might be ending at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and this video usually goes live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, so you might be able to sneak in another handful of rounds. But if not, again, as I stated, this is the final one. We are now officially moving to the relaunch of Splitgate 2, and I just kind of want to give you guys my 2 cents on how I feel about all these playtests, the direction Splitgate 2 is heading, and just my overall perspective on how this game is going to handle relaunching and if it's going to be able to pull in the hype that it needs to be able to thrive. But ladies and gentlemen, of course, before we go and dive on deep, if you guys are interested in more content like this, don't forget subscribing to the bell. Post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and the second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you're interested in any of my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, go link the channel down in the description of this video. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to this final playtest here, it's not really anything too crazy when it comes to massive adjustments. They have done some other QL changes. They changed up the UI a little bit more. It looks really clean in its current spot, and I gotta be real, it's hard looking at the OG Splitgate 2 menu screen when you see this new menu screen. It's very solid. They added in the railgun from Splitgate 1. They also reintroduced another classic map from Splitgate 1, so that's really awesome. So when relaunch comes through, we're going to have at least a couple of brand new maps for, newcomers to Splitgate 2. Not brand new maps for people who've been playing Splitgate for a long time, but still, content's content. But overall, these playtests were not bad whatsoever, and I feel like, the final product here in the final playtest is extraordinarily solid compared to the base Splitgate 2 experience. And I'm going to be real, this is coming from someone who actually really enjoyed Splitgate 2 before they went back to, beta and started to retest with everything. I had like 400 plus hours within Splitgate 2. I'm not lying to you guys. I was literally obsessed. I love this game a ton, and I thought the core formula of Splitgate 2 was really solid. And when I heard that they're going back to beta, and a lot of things are going to be shooken up a little bit, it worried me. It really did. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It really worried me because I really enjoyed the core formula the developers put together. And I was kind of stressed that by the time they finished changing all of these things, it might reintroduce the Splitgate 1 crowd, but the people who actually really liked Splitgate 2, the ones who were sticking around for it, were going to end up leaving because it's not going to please them. It's one of those scenarios I was worried that they're not going to be able to please everyone, They got to pick and choose which crowd they want, and at the end of the day, people are probably going to drop off from the overall experience. But I'm pretty happy to report that that's not the case. After playing through all these multiple playtests, there's been a lot of times where I have been a little skeptical about different things, but I believe the final product that we got right now is the best of both worlds. I think they did a phenomenal job at pleasing all the Splitgate 1 fans, people who've been playing Splitgate for a long time and were kind of thrown off by the changes they made for Splitgate 2, while still maintaining a decent portion of what made Splitgate 2 special, and all the newcomers who hopped into Splitgate 2 and pleasing them at the same exact time. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, this game got a decent amount of changes. It's not one of those situations where they go back to beta, maybe change 1 or 2 things and say, oh yeah, we put in a lot of work and now it's time to relaunch. No. They did a lot of stuff. I mean, they added more portal walls, they added in portal overcharging, which means basically if you go to a portal surface, you can overcharge it by putting both your portals down, and the enemy can't take it unless you either die, you use your portals again, or the enemy EMPs it. They added in LMGs, more maps, they took away the specialist abilities, or, faction abilities, whatever you want to call them, so now you can't use, the wall hacks, and the drop shield, and the rush, but they changed the format so there are now pickups on the map, which I think is absolutely phenomenal after playing around with it. They added in EMP grenades, changed the UI, they adjusted the time to kill, and they actually found a perfect middle ground for the time to kill, in my personal opinion. In the very beginning, at the first playtest, it was extraordinarily long. And it wasn't the end of the world, but I think where they're at right now is a nice in-between point of where it was at the beginning of Splitgate 2 when it launched, and also, what they tried in the very first playtest. It's right smack dab in the middle, and I think it's beautiful. It's probably so many more other things, but you guys get the idea. A lot of stuff has happened to Splitgate 2, and they're done. They're done with the playtests, and they have already hinted that we are going to be getting the relaunch probably sooner than later. No exact dates just yet, but I'm assuming with those type of words, I'm guessing either December or January, which funny enough is exactly the time frame that they were targeting for. But ladies and gentlemen, with all that being said, it's time to go into the hardest portion of this video to discuss the success of Splitgate 2. Will they be able to relaunch this game and gain a bunch of hype and get players to come on back into the experience? Personally, I think that these changes are good, as I stated. I think a lot of the stuff that they have done here is very solid. The game is still tremendously fun. They didn't, kill my passion for the game. Someone who enjoyed the core aspect of Splitgate 2, I still think that my love and passion is still there for it. But at the same time, these changes will 110% encourage those who are a little disappointed with the changes they made from Splitgate 1 going over to Splitgate 2 to hop back into the experience and try it out again. I think they're going to be very happy. And I think that's the biggest target audience right now, is to get those Splitgate 1 players happy. We got to really heal the community before any growth is actually going to happen here. But with that being said, can Splitgate 2 thrive? Can it actually pop off? Can it, gain traction and survive in, this current marketplace? And that's where I'm a little iffy with it right now. I want to say yes. I want to say this game is going to thrive and it's going to be the most popular thing in the world because I personally love it. But being realistic here, this is going to be a very hard run for Splitgate 2. An extremely hard run. Let's be honest here. There are a lot of games coming on out here. Even if they dropped the relaunch of Splitgate 2 in January, these games that are out right now, Battlefield, COD, Arc Raiders, a lot of behemoths are still going to be pumping along. That's right after the holiday season. Christmas is around the corner. People are going to be picking up all the games I just mentioned, which means December, January, probably, February, going all the way up probably until the next holiday season is going to be packed with those games. The next Call of Duty game, GTA. It's a rough one, we're kind of banking on, if players are going to be willing to put down games that they have already invested a lot of time into to come back and invest more time into Splitgate 2, especially after they went back to beta. And that probably killed a lot of hype for people, especially people that I know personally. There was a lot of people who were on board with Splitgate 2 and didn't care about the fact that the player count was going down. It was irrelevant to them. They enjoyed the game and all they wanted to do was play it. But the second they stopped updating it and stopped dropping content and went back to beta, all their passion just left. I can't even encourage these players to even want to try to hop on and give it another go because they just kind of lost faith in the overall development team, sadly. This is going to be a very long and hard journey for these developers, and personally, I still believe in them. I love these devs. I think they're phenomenal. I love the work they put into this game. I love the passion that they have for Splitgate, and the fact that they're still tugging along, even after all the crap that's going on. They are still pushing and want to make sure that they can put together a game that the community is going to be happy with. Honestly, I completely respect them, but as I stated, being realistic, it's going to be a very hard run to try to bring this game back up. That initial hype that this game got in the very beginning, they're not going to get that again, I don't believe. I don't know what type of voodoo, marketing they could possibly pull off that could encourage millions of players to come back and give it a shot. But realistically, I think that the biggest thing that this update's going to do is it's going to make the community solid again, and that's what we truly need. I think that this game needs a more solid foundation compared to trying to overhype it and get it, noticed by millions of individuals, because the reality is this game is always going to be niche. The portal mechanic alone is very sweaty, and when you start getting to the top brackets and you start seeing what people are actually, capable of, it's intimidating. Let's just be honest here, ladies and gentlemen. It's very intimidating, and it's not a mechanic that I think personally is going to explode. Do I want it to explode? Yes, I love it. I think it's one of the coolest, most unique mechanics that we have seen in a FPS game in a very long time. It's awesome. But does that mean casuals are going to want to hop on and grind this game consistently? Some will. Some definitely will, but not everybody. And as I stated, a lot of people are going to look at the portals and they're going to instantly be turned away. So as I stated, I think the best bet for Splitgate 2 right now is to just get that solid community again. Get that foundation, get those Splitgate 1 players back, show them, hey, we put in a lot of work, we heard all of your feedback, come try this game out again and see what it's all about. Get them hooked to the experience again, and then hopefully we can slowly yet surely grow from there. As I stated, I still can't deny I am worried. I'm definitely worried for Splitgate 2. I want this game to succeed, and I want to be able to grind it for years to come. But sadly, only time will tell. We can only tell with time and experience, and we'll see how long this is going to last. But I'm really rooting for 1047 here when it comes down to Splitgate 2. I want them to be able to relaunch this thing and get a bunch of success and keep on thriving. I want this game to get popular. I want players to come back and actually try it and enjoy themselves and experience how cool this portal mechanic is. I don't want this, mechanic to go away. I'm going to be real. I want it to stay. I want people to be able to always have this alternative when it comes to their FPS catalog. So fingers crossed everything goes smooth for them. As I stated, I think all the changes are phenomenal. I think it's going to really be a perfect in-between spot for the OG Splitgate 1 fans, while also, still pleasing the newcomers who just hopped in with Splitgate 2. And we'll just see. I think that good things will come, but I don't see a massive pop coming in Splitgate's future, though. But when it comes down to all the changes that the developers have made in these playtests, them listening to a lot of feedback and keeping us in the loop, interacting with us nonstop, that gives me a good amount of hope. It does. Like I said, I think people are going to be happy with this one, especially the OG Splitgate fans. And as I stated, a little earlier, as long as we can get that core foundation set and solid within Splitgate 2, I think that we can start seeing a little bit more steady growth. I don't know if it's going to be enough growth to, keep it going long term, but I sure hope it is. And as I stated, I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful, but I'm being realistic as well at the same time about the possibilities of what might happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, don't forget, make sure you guys check out this playtest if you got a little extra time on your hands. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Do you think that, these overall changes are good? Do you think they're bad? From what I can tell in the comment section and a lot of people playing the game, by the time we got to this final playtest, it seems that they have really hit the nail on what people were looking for out of the base, Splitgate 2 experience of how it should have launched. So I'm hoping with the relaunch, we can make everybody happy here. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget subscribing to the bell. Post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and a second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, got a link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all next one. Peace out.